first art exhibit, our first art event. It's called How's the Water?
SEMAP is a group of folks that are either from El Monte or the El Monte diaspora or our friends or our family that are interested in bringing art to El Monte. What makes South El Monte Arts Posse different from other art collectives is that we believe that everyone's creative.
I always wanted to have or to be able to provide an opportunity for people in this community, particularly for youth, to have access to art classes, to art experiences. We took advantage of this community event that happens every Wednesday in July here in this particular neighborhood, a community concert, and wanted to basically bring the art out instead of containing it within a space like a gallery, put it out on the street.
How's the Water comes from a parable in which two little fish are swimming, and the older, wiser fish crosses their path and says, "Hey boys, how's the water?" And the little two boys swim off, right? And then after a while, I say, "What the f is water?" Right? And the whole point of the story is that there's some really obvious things that we take for granted. So for How's the Water, what we did is we invited photographers that weren't from El Monte to come to El Monte and photograph any aspect of El Monte they wished, right?
The part that I really was focusing on coming into this project was to really be able to collaborate with different folks and be able to work with Romeo and work with some other folks.
I really like the idea of art coming from the community, of art depicting the community and just showing a realness to it. So I decided I would participate.
Personally, I think it's very exciting. I was just commenting with Annie a few moments ago that El Monte is an arts desert, and so it's very exciting for me to see young up-and-coming leaders across different disciplines come together around a project like this, which is capturing sort of day-to-day activity, things that we take for granted that really are part of the fabric of the community of El Monte.
I think it's just really interesting to see how some of these artists saw the space and the possibilities they see for it, the fact that maybe some of these open spaces could be turned into something more of a community space.
So I was really struck by the amount of bicycles, not only the amount of bikes, but the different types of bike riders and the sort of just range from older men to young boys, and also to lack of women on bikes.
One level, it's a form of transportation, and at another level, it's an extension of their identity. It defines them, the way the pedals are made, who makes the pedals, what color are the pedals, you know, how many spokes, what kind of spokes, you know, and then even if it's a fixed gear or if it's a mountain bike or if it's something else.
I thought it was cool to see the variety of bikes, how they reflect the people, and then especially since it was a whole group of people, it was like their sense of community too.
As a Angelino, I think we don't normally see cyclists. We see a cyclist as somebody who is in your way. You see the front of them, you see the end of them, you see them passing by. There's somebody to curse at. And I think here, what does it mean when you make the cyclist the object? You humanize them, or you see actually they are going somewhere. They have something they need to do, and it's an alternative way of, especially in California, it's an alternative way of transportation.
One of the things that we really start to do is to raise questions. So a lot of these projects deal with space. So one of the issues that the bike project raises is, you know, what should we do with abandoned lots? Who gets to dictate what happens to them? Who uses them? So when we invited a bunch of different bike riders to just ride and enjoy the vacant lot.
And we're also exploring kind of these questions that are larger on scale around, you know, the use of space and as Romeo has it, the use of public land, really.
To realize that it's being used as a space for physical activity, recreation, God knows what, especially during a time when the city doesn't have money to build a skate park, when it's obviously not a priority due to budgeting constraints and whatnot, and yet see people congregate in that space that's being underutilized, it's interesting to me, you know?
If our communities are not given the resources that we need, we still need to find ways to exercise, to have green space, or to have alternative uses for entertainment. It's a use of a space that's considered dead, so it's an undead space. Because you brought life back into the city.
We're asking the community, well, what do we want to do with the space that we have, and how should we use it? And who gets to determine that? Do people with money get to determine it, or is it a community process?
In conversations that I had today with people at our booth, we got a lot of people that were coming in and just asking, like, what is this? Or is that art? Hopefully it sparks that interest in a lot of people today, at least in a small way.